Hello everybody and welcome to our YouTube channel NetTechies, and today I'm just going to review what's BGP's always compare med. So before you jump into med, just a recap about what the metric is or med is. They call it med, MED, and it's also called metric. Sorry about my terrible handwriting. Metric. Okay, so they might throw any word in exam, but you must know that they mean same thing, and it's a BGP attribute when BGP uses its path selection. So how the med works, quick recap without wasting any time. You have a core router, you are the admin of 65,100, you have a core router and it's advertising 1.1.1.1 network. And then you have a neighbor whose autonomous system is 65,200, and then you have two edge routers, edge 1 and edge 2. So now your company decide that edge 1 router is the powerful router, so we want to use edge 1 router for the heavy lifting, and only use edge 2, or maybe this when required, or maybe it's just there for backup if edge 1 for some reason goes down. So this autonomous system 65,200, how they choose the route based on the weight and local preference, locally originated router, and AS path length and metric. Okay, so here is how it works. Since they are 65,200, maybe they're using weight, maybe they're using local preference, all the routers, all the attributes, sorry. But assuming that they didn't modify all those, or we don't care how they're doing their internal routing, we just care how they're reaching to us, edge 2 and edge 1, and you are only controlling 65,100 autonomous system number. Okay, so so now that you only control edge 2, oh sorry, autonomous system 65,100, on your edge 1 router you say that my metric, you tell to 65,200 router, my metric, if you want to go to route 1.1.1.1, my metric, is 50. On edge 2 we set metric to 100, and the BGP will always choose the lowest metric. So that's how you resolve it. Now your 65,200, your partner, whenever they are reaching to your network, they're always going through edge 1 network. Okay, edge 1 router, so the problem is solved. But what if I tell you you have this situation? Okay, so in this situation you have a 65,200, but now you are, in previous example you were let me set up my color. Just give me a second. So it's better. Okay. So now in this case, um, when I'm explaining BGP always compare med or metric, you only control 65,200 route. Okay. And then, if we repeat the previous example, then this router was telling us that, my metric is 100, and then this router, you know, is telling us that my metric is 50. I'll get you to 1.1.1, and then this one, okay, this edge one, okay, it's a different autonomous system. Let's say it's 65,000. I'll just say it's 65,300 autonomous system, and they're telling that our metric is 10. Okay, so now the BGP, assume that this is not 65,100 either. Uh, Assume this core router is, let's say, just say 100, BGP autonomous system 100, so that will make more sense. So now you have three routers advertising about 1.1 network, and you are 65,200, and then when they are advertising, they've been through entire checklist, weight, local preference, locally originated route, AS path length, and then now the metric is the tiebreaker in this case. Okay, the weight, local preference, we all, we've been through that, and now the AS path length, edge 2 is telling, like, if you want to go to autonomous system 100, it will say that, you know, uh, length is 65,100, and then my next autonomous system is 100. Okay, because this autonomous system and then you have this autonomous system 100. Sorry for the drawing, but okay. And then the edge one, since it's the same autonomous system, it says that I'll take you to that network, and this will be the AS path length. Okay, 65,000, the AS path itself, and then the AS 100 where the router is. And then now we have another third party who's saying that, okay, if you want to go to, core router 1.1.1 is 100. I'll take you there. My metric is 100. And if we look at the AS path length, it will say that I'm 65,300 and then the next hop is 100. So now you have to go through two AS, okay? And then here we have a 2AS and then here you have 2S. So basically AS path length, it doesn't matter. It's a tie, okay? Now, what you have to do is when your router is 200, is 65,200, you can tell that, when you're receiving the metric from all different partners. For example, the metric will only compare two values coming from the same autonomous system. Let's say it will only compare 100 and 50. It will not consider 10, even though it's lower. Why? Because it's coming from 65,300. So we can tell that router that, okay, always compare med, which means, I'm not going to write it, not enough space. Always compare metric, even if you have a metric coming from a different autonomous system, 65,300. So as soon as we enter that particular command, the AS 65,200 will say that, okay, I'm receiving the lowest metric from edge one router, and she will take me to the 1.1.1 network. So that's the theory, and next session we will be doing the lab and I'll show you how it works. Now we will be trying to do the lab, and in this case, your autonomous system 100, okay, and you only have control over, let's say, router 1, and you have connections from R2 autonomous system 200, R3 autonomous system 300, autonomous system 400 is R4. Okay, consider they are your partners, your let's say ISPs or your partners. Imagine whatever they are, but they are external BGP neighbors, and R2 is sending you the metric 500. So let's set that up quickly. I'm just gonna set on R2, and then we'll follow that on all three routers. R2 will start set metric 500. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and create a route map. Oops, on R3. So route map, I'll say R3 to okay. So now before we start apply anything, let me clear the screens. I'll just say show IP route BGP. Okay. So currently 771, this network, we're going through the router R3. And if we use the BGP metric, we'll go through R4. So that's how you will be able to manipulate if you're using the metric from multiple different autonomous system, not two routers from the same autonomous system. Okay. So let me go to the R2 and I'll say router BGP 200, and my neighbor is 12.0.0.1, and I'll say route map, and we did give it a name R2 to R1, insert, and then outbound direction, end it. Okay, that's done. If I do show run section BGP, okay, so you have a route map that you see here, neighbor 12.0.0.1, we are applying that route to outbound. And yeah, that's pretty much it. On R3, let's do the same thing. and I'll just hard reset the BGP neighbors. Clear IB BGP all. You could do soft reset, but it's a lab. It doesn't matter even if you do the hard reset. So now what happens is in a background, R2 is sending the metric that we decided 500. R3 is sending the metric 150, and R4 is sending the metric 50 only. So if we choose the metric, we'll be going through R4 to get to 7.7.7.1 IP address. Okay. So if I do show IP BGP, okay. Oops. Okay. So if you do show, the goal is to manipulate the route to 7.7.7.1, and you can see the metric 500 is coming from 12.002, which is R2, and we chose that R2 will be sending 500. R3 is sending us 13.003, which is R3 is sending us 150, and 50 is coming from R4. Okay, so now if I do show IP route BGP, okay, 7.7.1 is going via 12.1.0.2, which is just IP address, through the R2 because it has the lowest router ID. So let's just quickly look at how BGP chooses its path. Okay, so in this case, what we are doing is where is the marker pen? Okay, we are ignoring all these things. Okay, because they are all equal. This is not even a tiebreaker. So what's the tiebreaker in this case? Currently is the lowest router ID because the metric, why it's not working even though the R4 is sending us the lowest metric is because R4 is autonomous system 400, R3 is autonomous system 300, and R2 is autonomous system 200. So if there were multiple routers in, let's say, autonomous system 200, yeah, then you could manipulate the AS number metric, and then maybe R4, R1 will go through that particular router in AS 200. But now we have a different autonomous system, and in your real environment, let's say you are a service provider and you have three BGP pairs, and you want to go through the R4, and R4 is sending you the metric, but your router R1 is not taking any action. You know why? Because it's different autonomous system. So BGP does not compare the metric when the metric is coming from the different router. So the router ID, the lowest router ID is the tiebreaker, which is 2.2.2.2. I'll show IP BGP 7.7.7.1. Okay, so this is the best path. The reason is router ID 2.2.2. So R2, R3, R4, they are already doing their part. They are advertising you the metrics differently, 500, 50, and 150 as we planned. So all you have to do is a simple command. Go to router BGP 100, and so you're in R1 and just type command BGP all those compare med. That's it. Single command. The whole video you watched, the main motive was just to make you understand what this command does is and how the BGP compares the med. And usually it's in you know applicable when the routes are coming from the same autonomous system. But now we have R4 as a 400 autonomous system, 3 as a 3, and 2 as a 200, vice versa. And before you saw that, if we check the show IP BGP route for 7.7.1, the best route was 2.2.2 based on the best, lowest router ID, even though you were receiving the lowest metric from R4, which is sending you a metric of 50. Okay, so here too for 7.7 network, let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, even for the 7.7 network, you had R4 sending you metric 50, but you were not taking any action. The tiebreaker was the router ID. I don't want to repeat it, same thing again and again, but just making sure you don't, lose me. So now I'm just going to say clear IP BGP all inbound. Okay, let's see how it goes. Here we go. So now the R1 is saying that 7.7.1, I'm going through 14.004. And why is that? Because we used the command always compare med. I'll show you the command again, show run section BGP. Okay, and this is the command, guys. That's it. Hope you understand what the always compare med means and how you can control when you have a multiple BGP, eBGP neighbors. They are all sending you the metric, but you're not able to take any action because they are, they belong to different autonomous systems. Thank you so much for watching the video, and please consider subscribing the Net Techies. That will help my channel and encourage me to create more meaningful videos and help CCNP students and network engineers in the field. Thank you so much.